Okay. Alright, let's do this. I took years to play this game, and when I say years, I mean years. And that game is Dragon Age 2. The reason I even went back to the Dragon Age series is because I wanted to play Dragon Age Veilguard, which truthfully should have been Dragon Age Red Wolf, but it shit happens. I didn't want to play the game until I finished all the previous Dragon Age games because it didn't feel right. To give some background, I started Dragon Age Inquisition in college. And well, I bought it when it just came out. When a new single player to play, and Inquisition was that game for me. It was a new journey for me because I wasn't used to real time with pause, and as a concept, I am still not sold on it. To this day, I still feel that the elves in the game look too anemic, but truthfully, in a lot of mediums, that is how the elves looked. They're usually shown to be skinny and beautiful with no imperfections. Also, adding this in Dragon of Veilguard, I believe you get to mess around with the settings. Again, I don't really know. I did remember seeing some type of character creation, but that was early on of people being able to mess around with body types. So, truthfully speaking, I think you don't have to be a skinny elf anymore. Also, the game follows something I like, Cruiser the Fourth Race, which is outside the norm for the basic three. The basic three are humans, elves, and dwarves. I don't believe when I started playing Dragon Age Inquisition that I was so knowledgeable of RPGs and all the great races that they can offer. That fourth race that Dragon Age offers are the Qunari, which are the large humanoid race that have horns that sometimes resembles a bull. I kind of wish they added more races as the years went on, but sometimes companies get used to the set playable races. The order I played the trilogy in, well, can't really call it a trilogy since Dragon Age 2 is the only game that is actually numbered out of the three games. The order was Inquisition, Origins, and Dragon Age 2, but I feel like it is better to play it in order. My ranking of the games would be Origins, Inquisition, and then 2. Origins was just too much fun and too much of its own thing that the other games couldn't come close to topping it. I know that Origins is an older game, but I definitely recommend it to anyone that like Inquisition or the other games. Even if you like Veilguard for some parts and like the other parts, I would highly recommend Origins. So, when I played Inquisition for the first time, I played a human rogue, mainly because I like knives and rogues do interest me a good amount, just like mages. In Origins, I played a blood mage and had so much fun with the blood mage. I don't remember if the blood mage in Origins is the same as it was in Dragon Age 2 because I hated that specialization. I mean, I hate the specialization in 2, not in Origins. I had fun with Blood Mage Origins, by the way. This is just an add-on, not yeah. So I was planning to go with a meme type of build, with just leveling my magic stat to 100, but I was only able to get to 75 before I beat the game. I only missed out on 2 missions in the game in total. That isn't including the DLCs because I wasn't able to access a lot of DLCs. I wanted to go into the Black Emporium because that was the only way to respect your character, and I needed to do that in order to change my rogue stats. So, unlike Inquisition, you have to level up your cunning stats to open up chests. In order to open up master level chests, you had to have 40 points in cunning. If I knew that, I would have leveled that from the start, but I didn't do my research till the end, so that is on me. Now, the next thing you would say is, why didn't you get all the DLC if you had some of them? Now, the truth is, I have all the DLC, but on PC, you have to log into EA in the start menu in order to get access to all the DLCs. That itself is strange, but not able to get all the DLCs you paid for is a big red flag because you miss out on a ton of other content. But DLC shortcomings doesn't change my feelings of the game because I wasn't really planning to play the DLCs in the first place because I didn't think I had the DLCs. The reason for that is because I looked at the DLC menu and it said that my DLCs weren't available, but it also said that the DLCs were downloaded. I can actually show you right now. If you look in downloadable content, see installed downloadable content, but when you look at version number, it is unauthorized. So that's what I was talking about, by the way. It was a confusing thing to look at, and I could only find out what to do by looking at the Reddit, and there is also a comments for the DLC that tells you to sign in order to access the DLCs. We will just talk about the story, gameplay, and I feel it fits into the trilogy. The story of the game can be summed up into mage bad. If you mage, you bad. I sound like how people think barbarians sound. Tis gross, my friend. Tis gross. Now, I didn't think that this game would hate mages so much because Origins and Inquisition, you face hate no matter what you are. Now, in Origins and Inquisition, you are able to play any of the selected races that I stated earlier, but that isn't the case with this game. In Dragon Age 2, you can only play as a human, so it makes no sense story-wise for Hawk to be anything other than human. Also, being a mage also gives you a lot more lore into your family and gives you a better insight into the struggles of the mages. Well, let's be honest, you can look at others struggle, but you yourself can't really relate to the other mages except for fearing for your life. Like I said before, in the other games, you hear a lot of hatred for literally everything else. People hate mages, rogues, and Templars, and then hate every other race. The sad thing is that the main hatred is for mages. Like, even if someone hates another race, they will have a deeper hatred for mages. If you remember when I talked about Psykers and Rogue Trader, think of Psykers in the same vein. Vein? Which word is used for that phrase? Anyway, mages draw power from the Fade, and the Fade has some very scary demons inside that. So mages are very likely to get possessed. Now the biggest fear isn't really possession, but the fact that the mage can decide to become a blood mage. Now the problem with blood magic in game is that your blood magic and the enemy's blood magic is two completely different things. It could be different because most blood mages sell their souls to demons for power, and we just use blood magic. It's actually very weird. You kind of just learn your specialization, and there is no quest associated with it. You just gain this weird power, and it's never talked about. I'm actually getting upset remembering that nothing was actually taught. I just kind of knew what to do after thinking it through. Also, I wouldn't say my blood magic is remotely good, because blood magic works around you having low mana and a high health pool. Or you basically use it when you run out of mana. The really bad thing is that blood magic only has one offensive move in its arsenal, and that is an AoE move that removes a good amount of health to use. Other than that, your other moves are mainly used to get your health back and also control others. That's kind of your ult, weirdly enough. Oh, you kind of get that the grass is always green on the other side vibes when playing Blood Mage. The little Blood Mages are just taking blood from their enemies and essentially a better version of you, but you. Yes, you. At least you didn't have to sell yourself to a demon for power, because you have no power, you idiot. I really wish I had respect from Blood Mage, but there was nothing I could do after selecting it because of the DLC not working. Oh shit. I was supposed to start with the story, and I am talking about classes first. Oh well. So my mage basically was a debuffer mage because I had very few damaging spells, but a good amount of spells that made my enemies do little. I had a stun, a move to make the enemy take more damage, a heal, a move that made the enemy miss spells at times, and other debilitating abilities. I had one of the abilities that would work around my blood magic, so I basically pre-built my character before even getting to unlock the specialization class. Now the worst thing about this is that I was our only healer, which sucks. You also want a DPS. I would also have to watch the health of everyone and move people out of damage puddles because the AI wasn't smart enough to sense danger. But my mage was bad, and I will replay it again, but definitely not after my current mage because I want to feel some love once in a blue moon, something I never fail. In this game, there are two ways to heal in this game, and that is either from healing spells or from potions. There are a few different healing spells, but there is only one that doesn't come from one of the specializations. For potions, there's a main health potion, but there's other potions that can heal you, but health potion is the only healing one that can drop from enemies. Now, is healing in this game bad? I'm just gonna say yes, because I was the only healer. Now, there's a tactic system in the game where you can implement a certain tactic for a select character to pull off in different scenarios. The only tactic that I did put down was that characters should heal themselves with a potion when they get down to a certain threshold. Now, that was probably the dumbest thing I did because I started running out of potions because of that. My tanks would just consume them constantly, and my very low health pool rogue would drink it. I would look at him and just scowl. The fucker barely had health to begin with, and now he was consuming the thing that rarely drops from enemies, which sucked. Also, dying in this game isn't great as well, because just like in Rogue Trader, if you die, you'll be in an injured state. If you don't take an injury kit after dying, then you will have a reduced health debuff every time you die. That means your health pool gets smaller and smaller until you decide to fix yourself. I was told that in the harder difficulties, Origins and Inquisition both had these injured states, which I'm happy I didn't encounter. Also, like a lot of RPGs, everything has a cooldown, so if you use up your healing options, you're probably fucked. I say this because if you need to heal back to back, then that character is probably dead, so you could have just saved that heal for another person. The reason I say if you have to heal twice, that person is dead, is because the game throws so many mobs at you at once. So for most bosses in this game, they have mob phases, and those mob phases are supposed to be in your favor. Reason for that is, if you're lucky, one of those mobs will drop a health potion for you, but I would say for every 10 mobs, you would be lucky if you got 2 potions dropped. That is a problem if your party has been hurting with potions, and the only way to get potions at this point is from drops. Now, if you're a mage, you can do it in the necromancy tree and get a skill that gets health from the dead around you. Now, the amount that you get won't save you if you're getting chased, because unless you leveled evenly, you would die from a few hits from an enemy. Some warriors may be able to get lifesteal from an enemy, but it's enough to save them when they are near death. That means that the best way to heal is from potions and healing spells. I'm still not happy that there was no lifesteal skill from Blood Mage, but I digress. But I feel like fighting bosses feels like a raid boss, because once you feel like you are getting into a good groove, you get thrown into a mob phase. I also realized that without my character, which debuffs enemies, and a certain tank I romance, my team did no damage. So little damage, in fact, that I had to change the difficulty from normal to casual to do more damage because the game decided to do a big DPS check at the end. I just died multiple times to the point where I saw no actual way to win with my current team comp, and I had no way of changing said team. So I had to change the difficulty. It was a sad day, but I beat the game. That is all that mattered at that point in time. Why does it feel like Sunday? Next thing we'll talk about is armor, because in Origins and Inquisition, I remember being able to put different armors on all the playable characters. That wasn't the thing with Dragon Age 2. So in Dragon Age 2, any armor you find is character locked to your character, so there is no way to equip new armors to any of your companions. So you may ask, is there any way to make your characters more tanky outside of stats? Which the answer is yes. So, you will find certain items in the world that will enhance your characters, but they are littered around, and unless you research where everything is, or have an unlimited inventory, I don't see you finding everything on your own. There are also certain armors that have set bonuses if you wear the whole set, which is a nice stat boost if you have the stats to equip them. I sadly didn't, because all I was leveling was magic. I also noticed that I was mainly getting mage gear over other gear, which leads me to believe that the game will give you more gear based on your current class. That is nice, since you don't have to worry about finding gear for your current class. Besides, you can't gear up your companions. Inventory space is disgusting, because you are stuck with the inventory size you start with in the beginning of the game. That means you can only have 50 items at once, and I am the type that only stores sets of items once I have all the items in that set. I also pick up a bunch of junk, and yes, the items are called junk in the game, and they are made to be sold, which is a nice way to get money. I have a problem with this because I remember being able to upgrade my inventory in Inquisition, not so much in Origins because I played it forever ago. Again, you have a stash in game, so you can stash all the things you know you will not use, which truthfully is majority of the items you have. Once you upgrade it to a better item, you truthfully won't have much use for it unless you have yet to upgrade your companions. Even though you can't give your companions armor, you can give them weapons and accessories. Accessories being a belt, amulet, and 2 rings that enhance them stat-wise. It was funny because I went from playing this game on stream, and then when I was starting to play Cyberpunk, and got shards to upgrade my inventory limit. Again, these games were made in 2 different years, and also with 2 completely different time restraints, so I know this game didn't reach its full potential, but we don't care about that. The reason I talk about this is because if your pockets are full during a mission, you have to get rid of trash and hope that you didn't need to pick up anything else. I sadly always forget to empty my pocket before a big mission, and it always hurts when I find something new but had no space for it. Or when you found an item you could sell that you had no need for, but didn't have the space for it, so you just leave it. I also wish that potions didn't count towards your inventory, because they are such an important thing to survive. I didn't realize they didn't when I was fighting a boss and my pockets were full. I had to discard something. There is less stress going into your inventory, because this game is real time with pause. The inventory aspect isn't that fun for me, but at least I know what I'm dealing with if I decide to play it for a second time. This game follows the basic 3 races, and they also follow the basic 3 classes in RPGs, which is Warrior, Rogue, and Mage. The Warrior can slot into a tank or a really good melee fighter. Rogues can be ranged or melee, and their fighting styles can change up depending on how you level them up in the skill tree. Generally, you should be in and out with a Rogue. It's very easy to kill a Rogue in combat. Mages are all around backline fighter that can be a healer, debuffer, or pure damage dealer that can also die really easily. Because of this, the mage has to pack on a ton of roles, while also dealing with the hatred that they are a role that isn't leashed by the Circle Mages or the Templars. That's the sad reality of mages in this game. You're either a danger to everyone if you aren't controlled, or every aspect of your life is controlled. And if you mess up, you may be made a tranquil, which is basically a mindless slave. I play a mage, so my team comp needs to have a tank and a rogue, mainly so I can have someone to unlock chests. Fourth person is usually a warrior, but a melee fighter, so I have 2 backline and 2 frontline fighters. You can also help the tank with aggro with another frontline so that they don't take as much damage. Again, they are still going to take a ton of damage, but hopefully you're able to heal them both before they get close to dying. So, like the other Dragon Age games, this one also includes romance, and I romanced one of my frontline companions. Thing is that said romance was a big mage hater that everything I did caused his rivalry to go up. This game has a weird kind of alignment with your companions, which is rivalry and I believe friendship. Basically, if you do something that they would approve of, friendship goes up. But if you do something they dislike, then rivalry goes up. I don't believe that this affects relationships at all, but there was a point when said romance basically had to face me, and I could do nothing about it. There was also an inconsistency with the ending because of said fight, but I explained it on stream after it happened. It would be a spoiler if I explained it at this point. The romance is alright, but I only got one actual romance scene, and then after that, it was just my companions talking about my romance with said character. It did feel like I got dumped, even though there was no actual way of knowing if I got dumped by them, because we just never had that dialogue. There were hints that maybe it happened, but there was never an actual dialogue that they disliked me just for being a mage. I wish the romance was fleshed out, but again, this game was a rush project, so there's a ton of stuff missing that should have been included. Time for the part you've all been waiting for. The story aspect of the video, and yeah, the story felt mid, and I meant that more for what it is actually meant for. There was a good amount of high moments, but sadly a ton of low points and some inconsistencies. So being a mage, I was able to understand a lot from this side of the misunderstood and mistreated. You want to control mages because mages have all this power, and if someone doesn't control them, then they will be led into the world of blood magic or become demons. Very few people trust that mages will be good if they are left to their own devices, so there's a ton of prejudice when it comes to them. There's also the fact that we are in a human-led city that doesn't really treat non-humans that well, to the point that elves have to live in the slums in a place called the Elven Alienage. Hatred is shared between everyone, but mages get the most hatred in the bunch. Of the bunch? I want to say in the bunch? In the bunch? I'm going to call it in the bunch, I'm not changing it. Which I would say isn't justified. At the end of the day, there is good and bad people, but people rather see the bad and restrain the good people in cases they become bad, which causes the good to become bad. It is a never-ending cycle that is stopped by tragedy, which I will leave to you to discover. The beginning of the game is pretty good because you learn a lot about your character and about the people around you. Even the side quests aren't that bad, and gives you a peek at the lives of everyone in the city. Bad thing is, when you get close to the end and see all the bad endings pile up that you can't remotely stop, which could be called good to some. Mainly because a lot of games force good endings on you, but this game hits you with a lot of bad options, and you have to guess which one is a good option. Now the ending is still bad, as in it ends badly, not that it is a bad game. Okay. Also, the game adds time skips for some reason for each act, which I don't really get why they do this. I get the time needs to pass, but it's like, hey, 3 years passes, all this happened. Well, back to the game. Again, it is so time passes and people are put in other positions, because without a time skip, you would have to actually do quests to do all this. It is such a hard thing to implement. Sad, there is no way around the time skips. Also, the big enemies that were introduced were just villains of circumstance that became corrupt, and our character had to deal with it. There wasn't one bad person that followed us from the beginning to the end. We kind of just found smaller enemies, and once we beat them, it was time for the next act. There was sadly no connection, except for one person, but we didn't even get the honor of taking care of them. The kill was taken from us, even though we had to fix all their mess-ups, and a lot of our allies, in the end, were just ended up enemies. For like no reason, oh, this bad thing is happening, even though you are here with me. I'm just going to cause you more annoyance rather than it's the person causing me the most harm. Nothing made sense at this point, and I just became frustrated at what the ending was. Said that the game was mid because there were highs and lows, and the ending was a ton of lows, but truthfully I feel like that is kind of what life is. We have our highs and our lows, and a lot of time life won't go our way. Sometimes the person we saw as an ally could just fuck their life up because all the things piled up in their life and hurt you in the process. Sometimes a person that wants harmony is a person that just wants to control everything in their sight and are clouded by corruption. There's a lot of things that can be taken out of this game, but I would definitely say to play this game in order to feel nostalgia from Origins and understand some things that happened in Inquisition. I wish the ending was better, but as a whole, I was happy to play this game because it was so unique and sets itself apart from the rest because of the way the story is told. I'll be playing Veilguard. It's a game people have mixed feelings about, so I feel like Veilguard will kind of slide in like Dragon Age 2 did for me. Again, I won't really know the truth until I beat the game, so once that is done, I'll make a video on it and my feelings. Anyway, I hope you all play the Dragon Age series and form your own opinion to see how you feel about it all. My name is Oni Incubus, and that has been my time. You'll have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Later days. Fuck the Templars. Peace. I love you all. Bye bye. Mwah, 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 mwah. Kisses consensually. Bye. Mwah. Also, this is a quick update. It's like I'm basically done with editing already, but I wanted to say this. So, I'm currently playing Dragon Age Veilguard. Again, I always edit while I'm doing stuff. And I've had so many crashes when it comes to this game that it's very sad. Like, I would start essentially going to like a new area. There'll be something that prevents me from doing it, so I'm trying to reload. And then I would get a load error essentially, which kind of prevents me from doing anything. Which is really bad because I probably restarted the game probably like 3 or 4 times at this point, and it is disgusting. But I have to deal with it, and it's sad. Gameplay wise, essentially, and like combat wise is fine. It's kind of boring. You're doing the same thing. Combat's also interesting. They also took away the 4 party mode, which I mean 4 party like 4 man party that was essentially in Dragon Age the whole time. Again, I'm not editing it, so I don't care. So that's also weird. It's only 3 man party, including your person, and it's disgusting. I dislike it. I get why it's a thing. Also, it's a lot easier that I'm seeing right now. Like the game itself, I'm on normal, and it's just an easy, fast. You just dodge everything. That's fine. Do good damage regardless. Skills are good. There's synergy as well with the skills. If you take this game as it's like a Andromeda, it's a fine game for what it is. I'm still, if I'm also going to include the fact that like it's been crashing a bunch, and unless I'm in like which is basically a hub in the game, the lighthouse, you probably won't be able to load. I'm taking that into account. So because of that, it's going to be lowly rated or less rated when it comes to 2. Again, I'll see when it comes to playing the game, but the fact that the game's still not fixed and it's been 2 months since the game's been launched, because I'm playing in, it's literally New Year's, and it's been 2 months. Not probably not to this day, but it's been 2 months since the game released, and it's not a fix, and it's become a problem for a lot of people. And this shit's not fixed at this point. I just started playing it. It's kind of bad, but I'm enjoying for what it is. The characters are fun. I did find my romance partner, but we'll see how I really feel about it when I make the video. I just wanted to add this in because the ending of the video was me talking about how like I will know when it comes out, when the video comes out. But I want to add this blurb because of the fact that like I do know some stuff. But yeah, again, I'll see you all again. Happy New Year. I love you all. Peace.